Another concern when the EDSA rebuild starts is how do companies feel about flexible work setups and hours for their employees? And joining us live in our studio is Makati Business Club Executive Director, Apa Ongpin. Good evening, welcome to The Big Story, Apa.
Hi.
Sorry to take you away from your date night. But how was the traffic?
It was terrible today, but as the previous item showed, you know, it was much more orderly on the streets since the NCAP. It's really visible. You know,
I agree.
You really see a lot less people violating, you know, especially the motorcycles. They're all now lined up, you know, in the right lane and so on and so forth.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Now, has government or any agency, have they approached the business community like MBC to, you know, request flexible working hours in view of the coming 2-year?
No, and we're very disappointed that the MMDA has not taken a sort of collaborative approach to this. Instead, they just, you know, dispense this new coding scheme on our heads. And, you know, coding, it's mixed reviews, right? I mean, arguably, it has not really successfully decreased traffic volume in the 27 or whatever years that we've had it. I mean, we've had it since 1987, right?
So I guess you'll just do this on your own. I mean, have a meeting? I don't know. What initiative is the business community taking?
We are trying to get together with Secretary Vince Dizon. We've invited him to a talk. He hasn't accepted the invitation yet, but he's already engaged with us. In the,
sa dami ng ginagawa niya.
Yeah, sa dami ng ginagawa niya. No? But about this particular thing, you know, we want to hear him out, and we want him to hear us out. With regard to what we can do on our own, you know, without government intervention, yeah, obviously, staggered working hours is one thing, and a lot of work from home, which, you know, which the pandemic showed, work from home does decrease productivity, unfortunately. But traffic and delay and all of that stuff decreases it a lot more. No? So those that can will really, you know, strongly contemplate
or a hybrid setup.
Hybrid setup, yeah.
Parang a few days home, a few days.
The Makati Business Club, for instance, we only require our staff to come in 3 days a week. There's a few, 3 or 4 people who need to be there every day, right? But the rest of the staff, especially the officers, 3 days a week. The rest of the days, you're working remotely. Either you're attending events or you're, you know, you're working from home.
Yes, because you don't want to react only when the rebuild is happening. I mean, you want to anticipate this, right? But it's June, mid-June, right? Happening mid-June.
Well, it'll start.
The uneven dry run is starting in mid-June at least.
Yeah.
For a month. But Apa, I was wondering though, like amongst your members, what is stopping, you know, some employers or some businesses from actually pushing through with a hybrid setup or a staggered work?
Nothing at all. People are gonna do it.
You
know?
think?
If you can, yeah. If you can do it, you will, because you know there are businesses that you just can't.
Right.
Right. I mean, BPO is one. Banking, you know, is another one.
Like factories, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, but those are outside the city.
Maybe carpooling, I don't know.
Shuttles,
services. Yeah.
Yeah, those are all great ideas. No, we like the shuttle idea. We would also like the government to extend the capacity and the throughput and the delivery of the mass transport systems. You know, because a lot of our people, just in Makati Business Club, they depend on the MRT to get to work. No, and you know, the MRT is already beyond capacity at this point. We have to increase the capacity, take people out of cars and put them on the train.
For instance, there was the Makati Taguig, I don't know, battle has put the
Makati subway
right under question.
Yeah,
is there something the MBC can do to, you know?
Well, that's politics, no?
That.
It's a political issue. Well, yeah, I mean, we'd very much like the project to continue. We think it's really not just a good thing to have, but actually quite necessary. You know, we have terrible mass transport options in our city, and this would really be a boon, no?
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, you're dealing with two different cities who were, you know, at super odds with each other. Trying to get them to shake hands is
But
like.
since you're your members are the sources of tax of the biggest taxpayers of both cities, I'm sure, you know,
Well,
you
it's,
can exert some
again,
suasion.
this was a project of the Makati city government, right? It was not Department of Transportation or whatever. I think we should try to get Secretary Vince to take this on and say, look, this is a national project, all right? This is the national capital, and you know, let's make this happen. I think he can do it, you know.
Well, Appa, going back to the EDSA rebuild, what if businesses are incentivized with tax cuts, benefits? Will companies be more inclined to adopt flexible work schemes?
I doubt that Congress will pass tax cuts for flexible work schemes, but if that were the case, sure, you know, we'll do it.
Anong sweeteners pang pwede bang ibigay na incentives? If not tax cuts, what's, you know? Wala.
It's hard to
It's a big
think.
question mark.
Let me zero in on something you said. Seth asked you earlier, did anyone coordinate with Makati
Yeah.
Business Club on some
Wala.
sort of stakeholder, kumbaga, you know, brainstorming? So
Yeah.
wala. I was thinking maybe, I don't know, the OSAPIA would have tried to, I don't know, gathered some businesses and put them together and say, hey, look, like, what can we do? Barring that, Appa, are you guys taking on the initiative also to kind of like do a brainstorming amongst maybe
Yeah.
yourselves
Yeah.
or with
With
other
Vince-
business,
with
with other
Vince.
business
Yeah.
groups as well?
Yeah, this is an issue where unfortunately the government is really they're all in their own silos. They're not talking to each other enough, right? The Makati Business Club, what we like about this administration, in particular the cabinet secretaries, is they have been very consultative, very collaborative. We've reached out, we've talked to cabinet secretaries, we've talked to the department teams and so on and so forth, and they've been listening to us, you know. So
Except in the case of the EDSA rebuild. Hindi.
this one, none. They're all in their silos, you know.
What are your thoughts on the whole rebuild? Do we really need it? A lot of people are, you know, kind of like just thinking about it. It's been raining today, the traffic has been terrible, and, you know, some people are like, do we really need it? And I have to admit, I am one of them. How much do we need this, really?
Well, the Guadalupe Bridge is already nearing a critical
Yes,
state.
the
So
bridge.
that
But the whole
absolutely
thing.
has to be done, okay? The rest of it, yeah, it has to be done. We have actually been advocating for it. We, Makati Business Club, and our allies in the mobility, you know, Sina Out Mobility and Move Us One Coalition, we like these guys, right? And they've been agitating for it. What they've been agitating for is not just a rebuilding of EDSA, it's a re-engineering of EDSA, okay, to make it better for all
Even
the transport
pedestrians.
options. Because it's very car-centric at this point. It's totally car-centric. You know, the bus lane is an afterthought, diba? So we wanted to prioritize mass transport that carries more people for the amount of space, okay? And we want pedestrians and bicycles given their own space.
Their safe space.
Yeah, we don't want bicycles and motorcycles mixed together because it's very dangerous.
How about DOLE? Has DOLE reached out? Hindi rin.
No.
But they did urge companies to adopt flexible work schemes, right?
Okay, yeah, but we have not
Haven't had
interfaced
that,
directly
face-to-face
with
now.
them.
Okay, Abba, I just wanted to shift gears quickly. You did mention previously that the Makati Business Club is quite happy with the current economic team. That's in the first wave of the great cabinet revamp. It looks like the economic team stayed. What are the specific qualities or achievements of the economic secretaries of the cabinet that led you to a positive assessment to say that you are happy with them?
Well, it's exactly what I said. They've been open, they've been collaborative, and they've been consultative You know, it's not this dictatorial kind of, okay, we're gonna do this. Bahala kayo sa buhay nyo. No?
Do you mean DTI, DOF,
Yes, yes.
NEDA?
Yes, yes, and we like that about them. I mean, especially coming from the previous administration.
Oh.
You know, but you know, we like them individually. You know, we feel that these guys are the best qualified for this job. That's why we actually, you know, went out on a limb and
But
said,
we're not-
please keep these guys.
But we're not going to meet our growth targets this year.
No, we're you know, we're going to get pretty close. We're going to get pretty close. You know, there's a lot of external factors. You know, the whole Trump trade and tariff issue. You know, it's very difficult for foreign direct investment to operate in that kind of climate. Diba? Why are you going to invest in another country if the tariffs are going to shoot up like this? So, you know, we see that they're doing the best they can. They've certainly been able to control inflation, and they've done a great job with interest rates. We're very happy with the performance, you know, of the economic team in that respect. So in terms of, you know, pushing the right buttons, these guys have been pushing the right buttons.
Are there other milestones or achievements that you hope to see in the last 3 terms of the administration when it comes to the economic team?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there are. I can't give you a list right now, but you know, we think they're on the right track to do it.
Now let's go back to the EDSA rebuild. Is there going to be a cost naman to MBC or corporations because of the, you know,
Yes,
decrease in...
there's going to be a
What will
huge
suffer,
cost.
for instance?
Number one is productivity, right? Because you're going to have people stuck in traffic. And when they're stuck in traffic, they can't work, right? So there's going to be delays. There's going to be all of this stuff.
Lower sales in malls, you think?
Well, yeah, the delivery of retail goods, of course, is going to be affected, right?
Or more. I mean, people could be hanging out in malls waiting for traffic to tide
Pwede
over.
din.
Mapapagastos ka pa nga actually kasi pag nasa
Yeah.
mall.
Well, I saw you kanina that they said that consumer spending will go up,
Right.
right? You're
For
the
sure.
analyst you talked to.
They're seeing that. Are you
Maybe.
seeing-
I mean, we're all going to adapt in the ways we know how, right? But business will bear the brunt of these costs, you know?
But we have to bite the bullet.
Yeah, you know.
Maybe as a last point, no, on this EDSA rebuild, you made a really good point, starting off with Guadalupe, because that is the segment that really needs some seismic retrofitting.
Yes.
Right? JICA said so. This was like over a decade ago.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so it's been overdue. But actually, it's the part of EDSA that divides the northern half and the southern half. They will do the southern half first. It's also the part that still doesn't have a solution because DPWH Secretary Bonoan said he will not be touching the bridge until the little bypass bridges are
pontoons,
built.
yeah.
Right. I don't know. What do you guys, I don't know, maybe is there something the MBC can do to, like, I don't know, push the agencies or...
Well, you know, I don't want to tell them how to do their job, right? Diba? I mean, you know, these guys, they're heads of these departments for a reason, you know? They're the experts in these things. So it's up to them to propose the solutions. Now, with regard to the whole rebuild, you know, we also need to see the opportunities in it, okay? First, the opportunity to re-engineer EDSA into having a much better throughput for people, not for cars,
Yeah.
for people, okay?
Yeah.
Number two, how can we increase the throughput in the alternatives to EDSA, diba? How can we give better flow of the system so that we're not all reliant on EDSA, diba? This is an opportunity. It's a challenge.
Okay, I like that. I like silver lining, especially on Friday evenings.
Yeah, sometimes you don't look past the difficulties. But thank you so much, Apa, for joining us, and we hope we'll see you again. Not on date night. Thank you
We'll
for
make sure.
joining us this